Week 6, we usually touch base on any questions you guys have, wrap it up, and just have a nice conversation about your plans and your mantras and where's your fat go, chat about food labels, that kind of thing. So this is sort of our like wrap up, but we want you guys to know we're not going anywhere. We're always here for you guys. We do have a monthly accountability program. If anybody's interested in that. In the monthly program, we do calls, we do, you can pop on a one-on-one call if you want with us. Last month, excuse me, last month we did a menopause. We had someone who focuses on menopause come in and talk about hormones. So every month we try to do like a different kind of topic. You get new recipes, you get a new whisk board that has all of our recipes ever. And challenges and that kind of thing. So if you're interested, I will send out a Zoom link. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us on that.
That's a really nice group. So like if you don't feel ready, and again, even if you do feel like you're ready, you might want like just to like have that in your back pocket, so that you don't fall off. Because we do find that, like there's something about being part of a program that just keeps you going rather than being like, right. Obviously we've had people that go through 6 weeks and they just get it all connects and they just continue on, they live the lifestyle. And then we have people that stay with us through the accountability and it clicks 2 more months from now that it's their regular standard way of living. So just know that we're here. It's in any way, shape or form. We just want to make sure that you don't undo everything you just learned. Like that's our worst nightmare, is when we get like, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, we weren't consistent is what happened, right? Like, and it's okay to fall. It's just don't fall for so long that you're back to where you were before and you have to start over. And week 1 is that painful, right? Like going on vacation, having a little loosen up over a weekend, like those are all fine things, but it's like the Tuesday night, screw it. The Wednesday night, I did it yesterday. I'll start again next week. And then next week comes and you don't have exactly the plan that you had on Monday that you wanted. And all of a sudden it's 2 weeks later. That's where the problems come in. So it's not the one mess up or a weekend or even 1 week, right? It's easy enough to redo and undo a week. So that's just there for you. I want you to think back to like where you were when you first started this and where your mindset is now. And maybe you have a slightly different relationship with food. Maybe it's not as scary as it was once before, right? Like fat isn't scary and carbohydrates are not scary. There's nothing that is off limits. If you have an issue with a certain type of food, well, maybe we have a different conversation about that, right? Like if it's dairy and dairy is something you love, but it triggers you to want more and more and more, and it just becomes an issue for you. Then we just, there's just conversations, right? We're adults and sometimes you have to limit certain things to follow the path that you want to take. People don't ever ask the question, like, where does fat go? So I'm going to briefly talk about it because it's kind of funny. Like we think like, okay, we lost weight. Like, where's it go? And then we're not thinking about like, where is it? What's happening? Right. So we only use energy from 2 things, right? We use energy from carbohydrates and from fat. So when we get to the space where our bodies are humming and it's working and we're putting in the right amount of energy, but still not just storing energy, and we're actually tapping into stored energy with clean eating, lower carbohydrate, high protein, good fat, intermittent fasting, drinking all your water, making sure you're exercising, putting all of the puzzle pieces together, not just not eating carbohydrates. There's all the pieces. Right? Your system is now working. You guys are 6 weeks in. Your body is able to flex between using carbohydrates and using fat as fuel. You've done all that work, right? It's not confused anymore. It knows how to do that. So what happens is when we actually start to break down the fat as our fuel, right? This is how we lose weight. The fat releases out of the cell. It goes into your bloodstream and it's created and it turns either into carbon monoxide or liquid. So now let's just take this picture together when you're exercising. Why do you burn more calories when you're exercising? And why is exercise so important? Because what are the 2 things you do when you're exercising? You breathe really heavy and you sweat. That is all fat, my friends. That is it, right? It's not pooping. Peeing is your liquid. But like, sure, you might have like a stomach bug and you have diarrhea, but like, that's not really how you lose your fat. Your fat's not coming out of your poop. Right? Like your cholesterol and your waste is coming out of your poop, but it's not your fat. So it's really breathing. So that's why we get huffy puffy, and the heavier we breathe. So moving throughout the day, if you're sitting at your desk, go for a 15-minute walk, get the oxygen going, get the body moving. So it's using fat as a source of fuel. Hydration, making sure that you're drinking all the water and you're going to the bathroom and sweating. That's how you lose weight. That's where the fat goes. So basically all that happens is that cell that is holding your fat just shrinks. It doesn't go away, it just shrinks. Unfortunately, it's harder to shrink than it is to fill up. So that same cell, like anyone has a spot, like when they first start to gain weight, like you always gain weight in that one spot first, that's where your those fat cells are living, and they're prominent fat cells. That's all that's happening, right? That's your genetics, and that's where those original fat cells were formed from when you were like, sorry to say this, in like your 20s or earlier. And with time, like you can kill off fat cells. The problem is if you start to overeat, you'll just create new ones. Fat is not a bad thing, right? So our bodies want fat. It protects us. It protects our organs. It protects our, our skeleton. We just don't want too much of it where we start to suffocate our organs and hurt our joints, right? So we need fat. And that's why we have this ability to store it, because we're possibly going to need energy at some other point. So understanding that that's where your fat goes. So now next time you're exercising and you hear me, Katie, let's get breathy. We're talking about getting puffy and puffy so that you can actually clear the CO2 out, which is fat clearing, and pull the clean oxygen in so that we can rinse and repeat that system. Exercise is doing. Obviously, cardiovascular is great for your heart. It's great for your muscles, all that stuff. But in a weight loss world, that's what's happening. So that's where your fat goes. And that's where it comes in a nutshell. It's all in your portal. You can listen to that even more. So we just kind of like wrap things up. Like, anyone have any questions about food labels? Because I feel like we didn't talk, there wasn't a lot of chitter chatter or pictures up on the board to really deep dive discuss what, Laura, maybe we'll do this week. We'll just keep posting up images so that people can understand exactly what you should be looking for on the back of a label.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there was enough posting in this group that we were like getting questions about, like, can I have this product? So typically that just has like legs of its own. Like people just post up, like, I found this product. Can I have this? Unless we did such a good job.
I'll find a food label and pull one up. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah. So the first thing we want to look for in the food label is we want to look to see, how much fat is in it. Where's the fat coming from? Is it saturated, polysaturated? We don't want trans fats. It's okay. There's some saturated fat in there. It's nothing's wrong with that. Then we look down and we see what are the carbohydrates, right? Okay. That carbohydrates. Now let's look underneath it. Where are the carbohydrates coming from? All right, well, 10 of them are fiber. That's a ding, ding, ding. I love that number. Oh, there's only 2 grams of sugar. That's a great number. Okay, so that combination right there is pretty good. The sodium's not off the charts. Like off the charts, sodium would be like, I have to say, like probably 600 and over, you start to feel thirsty later. Like if you have a sauce and it has like 550 in a tomato sauce, they're not awful. Like when you take a sauce that is like when they're like, it's like 210 grams of pretty boring sauce. But I wouldn't go in like 100 ranges. And then you just look, you're looking to see what the ingredients are, right? Like if anything says partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated or artificial flavors or sucrose or sucralose, fructose, high fructose, those OSs are kind of the things we want to stay away from. But the board is going to be open. So we definitely want you to start looking at the products you've been choosing and take a picture of the ingredients and say, are these all okay? And they might be perfectly fine, but there might be one in there that you're not realizing might be upsetting your stomach. Or, maybe you're getting heartburn or something, because, products that come in a bag or in a box do have other ingredients.
So check this out here. So this is the Arnold keto bread. I just happened to pull this up, but this is actually really cool. I never looked up their website before. So what Karen just said here, your fats, right? Sodium's low in this, right? And this is your serving size is something you need to also look at too. Like, is 1 slice of bread or 2 slices of bread the serving size? That can get tricky because sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 1. So you just want to look at what that serving size is, right? So it's 1 slice. Okay. And there's 11 carbohydrates total in this slice of bread, right? But there's 8 grams of fiber. So our net carbs are only 3. Okay. What I like about this, look, check this out.
What
If
is
you-
this, Arnold?
This is Arnold. If you click on the ingredients, right? Like you click on modified wheat starch and it tells you what it is.
Oh, that's cool.
How cool is that? So this
That's
is sunflower oil.
That's really cool.
It is cool, right? So you can
Okay.
look like xanthium gum, right?
Fun. So this is the ingredient. Hold this up for a second, Laura. This is the ingredient. You're going to see this in a lot of health foods. You're going to see xanthium gum. So go back to
Okay.
xanthium.
Sorry, yep.
You're going to see xanthium gum in a lot of the health products. It is fine. It is healthy for you. The problem with xanthium gum is that a lot of it can start to upset your stomach. So it could start to upset the lining in your stomach. So if you're eating a lot of your stuff out of a package, just start to take a look. You know, it's not that you can't have it every day, but I wouldn't have it in like all 3 of my meals and a snack in my day. You shouldn't be having all of your meals and snacks out of a package anyway, right? So you should be limiting the amount of xanthium gum. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you start to feel that you're getting indigestion after the same meal over and over again, start to look at the food ingredients and it might be the xanthium gum. So just note that. It's a perfect, go back to the ingredients. This is fun. Oh, look at that inland. I love this. So that's, see this inland, that's where the fiber comes from. See the hickory root? That's why the high fiber comes in. That you're going to see that in a lot of these high fiber breads.
Mhm.
All right, preservatives. See, those are all normal.
Yeah.
Like you have to have preservatives. There has to be stuff in there.
Right.
Like that's a normal one. I have a
Listen,
list.
anything you're going to eat out of a package is going to have some sort of something preservative in it, right? So it just things to be on the lookout for. Like Karen said, like, you know, you don't want to eat out of a package all the time, but when you are, you just want to look and do the best you can with it. And, you know, this is actually, I love that they have this like smart label thing here. I think this is so cool.
Can you screenshot that? And we'll put it up on the Facebook board. And we have a list here we'll put up in your portal as well, of like the bad food labels, like artificial sweeteners, right? Like aspartame, high fructose corn syrup, MSG, right? We don't want to have that in our food. Trans fat, food dyes are really bad, guys. Like your kids' happy cupcakes, terrible.
Let's look that up. Let's look up Twinkie.
Oh, let's see what's in. So we have a list here of like 14 different things that are pretty normal in foods that you should look out for. So we'll post that up in your portal. I can't wait to see what's in a Twinkie.
Nothing you can pronounce.
Let's see.
That's so funny. Ray's to go to 7-Eleven last night. He's like, can I get you something? I'm like, I don't know, a yodel? He's like, you want a yodel? I'm like, no.
Huh. And this is like, oh wait, here we go.
All right, what's in a Twinkie? Can you not do that, you know?
I don't know where I am right now. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Okay. Lots of stuff. And then the one big thing too, guys, there's lots of like stuff in here, but you want to look for natural and artificial flavor. You want to make sure there's no artificial flavor. That is always hidden. Like even in like protein shakes, that's a big hidden one. And also natural flavor too is up in the air. So you just want to be careful. Obviously, again, you're eating out of a package, right? So nothing's going to be perfect in there, but
Okay, I'm going to read some things. These are things you should absolutely never, ever consume. Are you ready? Cornstarch, modified cornstarch, hydrogenated. Yeah. I don't even know what this says. Is it yellow? Something way. Cottonseed oil. Please don't ever eat these. Oh my God. I used to live on these.
I know.
I have such a digestive issue.
Oop, sorry.
Oh, and it has some xanthian gum, just in case. I mean, like that is just poison. Poison. Like think
And then
about
what's
that.
the red dye in a Twinkie for?
Maybe the color.
Yeah, but it's not red. Anyway, All right. So that was the point, was just like really look at these food labels, guys. There's also a really cool app. It's called Food UK, FOOD and the letter U, like University Kate, CATE instead of educate. And you you can actually scan the label, like the barcode, and it gives you like the ingredients and it gives you like ratings. So that's sort of a fun app to play around with a little bit too.
I want to look up dextrose.
Good for you, Katie, on the elliptical.
I love that you do that.
So those are the things we want you guys to look for. We want you guys to just be more aware of what you're putting in your body, and when you're putting this stuff in your body, how the food makes you feel. Because now that you're cleaner and your system is revving and your engine is revving, you may put a Twinkie in your body and you may feel like total garbage, right? Like you may eat something that you think is healthy and it just may not be sitting right with you. Like we had a client years ago that it was just a black bean versus any other bean that bothered her. She could have any other bean and it was like just one certain bean, right? I'm noticing lately tomato sauce is giving me indigestion all of a sudden. So I'm going to lay back on that for a little bit. So there's things that, your body can change, your body reacts to something. So you really want to be aware of what you're putting in your body, what's in it, and how it makes you feel. We talked about this in the beginning. Is it giving you energy? Is it making you feel bloaty? Is it giving you indigestion? Is it giving you diarrhea? I mean, that kind of stuff happens when you're eating stuff, when you're eating bad shit. So just be aware.
Is it not satisfying, right? Like just because it's
Are
healthy
you hungry
for you, then don't eat it.
Yeah.
Right? If one serving of it or 1.5 servings is not cutting it, then that's not the right choice for you. Or you need to add something else to it, right? So like, it's just understand, like you don't want something I'm going to ask you guys to just keep thinking about, we're talking about food labels and talking about serving sizes, is we call it the creep, right? Like you're staying in lane right now. You feel really good. You have your serving sizes. You feel like you look at your portions, you know what you're doing. And then suddenly like next Tuesday comes and you make the same beautiful little snack that you make at night, but suddenly you're eating a handful of it before you're putting it in your ramekin. And then you're having a little bit more, or your peanut butter is becoming 4 spoonfuls in your mouth before you make the sandwich. Like just think about the creeps, right? Like don't let that creeping come back in. So let this burn in your brain a little bit. When it starts to happen, you'll be like, you're aware when it's happening. We all know when it starts to creep. When suddenly like your happy serving is flowing over, right? Like, and just say like, okay, if you're also starting to feel like every single night you're looking forward to that dessert and it's becoming creeping, I would go back to, I'm going to take it out for 2 days and reset my mind, because this is becoming a habit more than it is a want. It's becoming like a habit that you want it, because there are definitely nights that like, I don't want something, but I think I'm allowed to have it. So it's time to eat it. Right? Like, oh, I'm allowed to have that, so I'm going to eat it unnecessarily. As opposed to saying, if I don't eat it, my mantra, how am I going to feel tomorrow? Right? If I really want it, I'm going to have it. But there are nights that I'm like, oh, I'm allowed unnecessarily, not going to have it. I'm just going to save that for maybe tomorrow I'm going to want something else that I normally wouldn't want, but now I have a little bit of room for it because I didn't unnecessarily eat something the night before. So just this is where the mindset comes in. And like on top of all the education you have, there's a lot of conversation you have to have with yourself. A lot. There's a lot of conversation. This is a relationship with food. It's not just about macros. Right? So it's truly this relationship with food, and think about how good you feel. Why the hell would you give any of this back? For what, a Twinkie? Right? It's not worth it. Like it doesn't even feel good. Sure, enjoying a weekend is fun, but like getting back on track on Monday is just as great.
And now it becomes the practice. Now becomes the I'm able to have my cheat and I know what to do around it. I'm going to pause before I go crazy the next morning because I'm not feeling great. Or I'm out at a restaurant for dinner and I'm actually craving the vegetables over the potatoes. Or I'm not going to have the bread because I now want to have the dessert and an extra glass of wine.
Which are all
good.
They're all great. Those are all great options. They're all great. You know, and then like the other mindset of like, you know, like Kelly, you did this the entire time. If I can't move to speed up the energy, to speed up the process of using fat as fuel, if I can't move, I'm going to be a little bit more stricter with my food. But with that comment that you wrote on Facebook, just because you're moving again doesn't mean those extra calories come in. All you're going to do is just rev it up even more, right? Unless you're ravenous because you're moving more, right? Like there are days that like, if I have a heavier cardio day, I might be hungry. Not even that day. It's usually the next day. If you ever realize that's another science conversation we can have, but like, it's typically not the day that you do all the work because your body's still working, super hungry in that working state. You're really kind of hungry the day after. So set yourself up. If you have a big cardio day, I would make sure that my first thing, maybe I'm not fasting the next day and I have a bigger fat in my breakfast so that I curb that entire thing for the rest of the day. Start to notice that if you have like a longer cardio day and 2 days later, you're always hungry, you know it's coming. So just make sure that that's not a fasting day and that's a heavier fat day and a big protein day, right? Just start to think, there's a lot to think about and a lot to recognize, but the cleaner you are, the more obvious it is. So just think about all those little pieces, you know, like, oh, I work out on Monday. I'm usually really hungry on Tuesday. Okay, well, let's set up for success for that rather than grazing all day. Let's just make that meal bigger to start. So there's lots of ways around it. And, you know, again, if you're still questioning things, we really do encourage you to stay with us and do the month to month. It's really simple. It's a great group of people that have been with us for a really long time. We have these calls just like this about once a month. Sometimes it's just to chat and we don't even talk about food and it gets pretty emotional. We set up in like small groups sometimes for support groups with inside the group. So, you know, there's no pressure, but just know that it's there for you. And it's, you know, you've done all this work, right? We don't want you to give any of this back.
Do you guys have any questions or is there any doubts going on? Is there new mantras coming out? That's a big thing. I like when people say their mantras, like what they're going to focus on or anything at all. You guys are welcome to jump in.
Well, I have a question first. Are the whisk recipes gonna still be available or do those like disappear?
Nope, you'll have the whisk recipes. There just be nothing else new added to it. In the accountability, there's stuff added to it all the time. So it's like every recipe we've ever given out on the planet, but you will keep access to your whisk recipes. Yes. And then you have access to the portal for like 6 months to a year. Like if you want to pull anything off and print anything off of there, but the whisk recipes are yours.
And same thing with this though. It's like at the year mark, we will reach out. Like if you're, you know, you can, you know, save what you like, put it into a different folder. Our communities, they start to, you know, after about a year, we shut down the community that you were in to make room for obviously another community to come in. So, but all your information you have for a whole year. So anything that you want is yours to download. Keep it, make a folder, make a binder, go back, you know, down, like all of the recordings are on YouTube. You know, you can go back and listen to them. You know, we're here to help you. We really just want you to be successful.
100%.
Yeah, then I can't speak for everybody else, but I will say, like, I never drank pop religiously before this, but I've had pop twice during this whole time, and it tasted terrible both times.
You tasted the chemicals, right? You tasted the chemicals
until probably like 2.5, 3 weeks in, and I even told my husband I haven't had a pop in 3 weeks, and he's like, "Wow." And once again, I'm not like a one a day or anything, but it tasted so gross. And then the one time I had real candy with my son, I could just taste the difference. I mean, I could just taste the difference of what was going in my body so much greater than I had before. So I've definitely noticed those things for sure. So.
What candy did you have?
I had chocolate malt balls, which are like my favorite, like the ones coated in the really heavy chocolate. So, but they still didn't taste that good. So, but really for me, it's just been prepping. I mean, as long as I have a couple things prepped for the week, I've done great. So that's what's worked, at least for me. I can't speak for everybody else, but yeah.
That's great. That's great. And you know what it is like, so you may like for like 6 weeks all right, I like this for my prep and this is working. And then you may just change it up and it may just be something different to prep, but you have all these tools now. And moving forward, if you have like, the extra on the weekend, you know exactly what to do. You have the tools to go back to week 1, or you can do a little fasting, take your complex carbs out for just a couple days, lower your sugars, that kind of thing. So it's a matter of the balance now, and then either reaching toward, your long-term goal or maintaining the goal that you hit. And I agree with you. I remember the first time I had natural peanut butter and then like went back to like an old school peanut butter. Like you could taste the chemical in it. It's like amazing, and you could like, it's just not as good. So it's nice to have it's nice to crave a pretty salad, or just, want that healthier option. And you realize with the energy you have now, and maybe you're just not puttering out at 3:00 or your skin is feeling better, that, it's worth it. You have to cook anyway, right? Or you have to grab food anyway. You have to eat. And now it's so easy for grab and go options everywhere. So that's another thing.
I will say, I agree with you. I think it's all about prep. And again, it doesn't need to be over prep. We said this from day one, like the over prep will kill you. It'll mentally beat you up and then you'll overeat. When I have too much prepped, I'm like, I don't know what to eat. So I have a little of this, a little of that, a little of this, a little of that. Before I know it, I don't know what I put together. And it's not even that I've overeat. It's just bile. Like I'm like, like nothing went together, but I was like, it's all here, so I'm pretty good. I like a 2 prep thing. And and I like to always know that I have a salad or a vegetable, whatever I needed for dinner. I always have frozen cauliflower when all else fails. There's just always something that I can make. Like last night, I got home from my daughter's track meet. I had hummus. By the way, Uncle Giuseppe's hummus is ridiculously good. And there's no funky oils in it. I had carrots and hummus while I was standing there trying to figure out what I was going to have for dinner. And then I had half of an avocado left, and I had scrambled eggs on 2 pieces of the Carb Savvy bread with a smear. I love cream cheese and eggs. I know it's really weird, with a smear of cream cheese. And I was so happy with my dinner that I'm like, I love eggs for dinner. But that's all I had. I didn't feel like going to the supermarket. I didn't need a big deal. I was just like, scrambled eggs it is.
Sometimes it's just food is fuel. And then sometimes food is pleasure.
Yep. Totally. I will say there's 2 things that never taste gross. Never. An Oreo. Ever. And a Snickers bar. A Snickers bar still tastes like a rich Snickers, like a Kit Kat. If you tried a Kit Kat right now, it would taste like wax. But a Snickers bar, the peanuts, the whole thing. I was gonna say those are my 2. Oh, and an M&M and a peanut M&M. They're still good chocolate. They melt in your hand. But other than that, like the other chocolate stuff, like every time I put it, I'll try it's Halloween time, and I'll take a bite. I'm like, it's just like wax.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
It's sweeter. Like I got my daughter's the Uncle Giuseppe's homemade chocolate chip cookies, and they looked really good. And I went to go take a bite. I was not even feeling guilty about it. And when I tell you, hurt my teeth, it was so sweet. Like I spit out. I was like, these are too sweet. And my kids they're delicious. I'd rather stick with my delicious strawberries right now.
Yeah, it is. So it is strawberry season, right? So I know by us, there's a farm up the street that, sells them. So that's where I'll be going for the next couple weeks until they sell out. But eat that fruit that's in season, right?
So good.
Have those strawberries now, have those berries now, mix it with a little bit of yogurt, drizzle of granola, delicious. Enjoy the seasonal stuff. So if you guys have any questions, we're still around, obviously, we have this whole week, and we're always around if you guys need us. So, reach out and keep us posted on how you guys are doing. And we'll post some more stuff on the board this week for you guys as well. Thanks for showing up every week, you guys. You guys are amazing. Keep us posted, and we'll talk to you this week.
I'm so excited for you guys. Thank you for coming on.
Bye, guys.
Bye.